So a little bit about me. I'm Ben exclamation mark. I am a software craftsman. I work at Unbox Consulting, and in my free time I like watching and making films. I also like reading sci-fi. You can look at my blog at benjaneke.com, and you can read about Unboxed at www.unboxed.com. Cool. So, pair programming, remote pair programming. I would like you guys to leave questions to the end. I have left a few minutes to facilitate them. And just to mention, I am not here to convince anyone that pair programming is the next big thing. I think pair programming is really awesome, and it's not necessarily for everyone. I'm here to help you be better remote pair programmers. I assume that the majority of you are familiar with the term pair programming, but for sake of clarity, I have my definition, which is this. Pair programming is the result of two programmers who choose to jointly work on one artifact. Artifact being a piece of design, code, what have you. It is a style of programming that has been proven to facilitate higher productivity, idiomatic code, reduce bus factor, and improve communication and collaboration. And once again, it is not for everyone. If you feel that you are not more productive pair programming, then don't pair program. If someone's forcing you to pair program and you don't feel comfortable with it, don't do it because you're making your partner less productive. Don't feel forced to do it. However, if you are currently pair programming and you feel like you could do better, you could gain more value from it. I'm sure you're going to glean some value from this talk. So many companies like Pivotal Labs, Unbox Consulting, 8th Delight, and Living Social have offices across cities, borders, and continents. Remote work has become a reality, and we have adjusted our tools and processes to better facilitate it. But pair programming is often something that falls by the wayside. Developers are given pieces of work to do in isolation, undermining the collaborative nature that a lot of our offices have. So here's a pro tip. The number one thing you can do to make yourself a better remote pair programmer, make yourself a better pair programmer. An important consideration when pair programming is that you should be able to pair program with any partner, regardless of the tools or language they use. You need to open yourself to a wider range of people. The tools are only a really small part of pair programming. The value you glean from communication and conversation is the biggest. So the thing with pair programming is that you need to be able to just fall into it. When it comes to your coworkers, the best way to initiate a pairing session is to create an environment that is conducive to collaboration and let partnership form organically. If the tools you need are right in front of you, then a session often evolves from a simple conversation about a piece of code. If your tools are not ready, then the energy you need to pair will often fade before the environment is set up. And this is doubly important in remote pair programming. If your tools take too long to set up, you're not going to have that chutzpah, that enjoyment that you get from pair programming. So I think Vanilla Ice would make a really, really good pair programmer. He's got it down. Stop, collaborate, listen. Those are the core things you can do to be a better pair programmer. So it is doubly important when remote pair programming. Again, talk to your pair, talk to your partner. For those of us fortunate enough to work in an agile environment, we have access to amazing people who facilitate ceremonies and activities for us. Whatever this person might be in your team, they can make pair programming so much more awesome and enjoyable. And if you are that person, don't forget this. Your responsibility doesn't end once a developer sits behind a computer. So the problem, however, is with remote pairing, we don't have a facilitator. We just have ourselves and another developer on the other side of the world, or even just on the other side of an office. So we need some ground rules, some things that we adhere to, some things we start with. And they're really simple. We need to share everything. If you have access to a tool that your partner does not have access to it, you're not collaborating. You need to collaborate, share everything. You need to share equally. If you're working on a tool that you have more access to than your partner does, say you have a text editor open and you can write to it and your partner can only read it, you're not collaborating, you're not pairing. You need to share equally. The most important thing is you need to be comfortable. If you're not comfortable, you're not thinking the way you usually should be thinking. You need to be able to sit down, be calm, and speak your mind. And people forget this. You need to stop when you are tired. Pair programming is a high-intensity activity. Don't do it for too long. If you're tired, go away, go sleep. Do something awesome. And you need to debate with your partner. You need to ask questions. You need to open a conversation. But try and keep it short, please. If our conversation goes on for longer than 5 minutes, find a compromise, stop at it, and come back to it. Say you're talking about naming a thing. Do I need to name this thing a monkey factory or a monkey maker? Doesn't matter. Name it foo, keep going. As you keep going, its intent will become clearer. Make compromise. Debate, but keep it short. So, natural breaks don't die, people. You need to be able to take breaks. Seriously. Joe Moore from Pivotal Labs tells a story about his first remote pair programming experience. He was sitting and developing, and you've got like a piece of video in the corner, and he could see his pair becoming really, really uncomfortable, eventually getting red in the face. And Joe, being a really good pair programmer, goes, "What's up? What's wrong? Are you uncomfortable?" And he says, "Yeah, I'm really uncomfortable." Joe says, "Why?" And he says, "I really, really need to pee." And that's the thing, you don't have to not go pee. You don't have to wait the full 2 hours and go pee. That's not how it works. You say, "Dude, I really need to pee," and then you go, "Oh shit, I really also need to pee. Thank you so much." If you want to go grab a cup of tea, go grab a cup of tea. Your pair is going to appreciate it because they need that break just as much as you do. So in pair programming, we talk about the synergies, the things that make pair programming so awesome. What is a synergy? Little dictionary definition. The interaction or cooperation of two or more organizations, substances, or other agents to produce a combined effect greater than the sum of their separate parts. That sounds really, really similar, like we've seen it before. Let's just, as a mention. So the first two synergies are pair pressure and pair negotiation. When you're pairing with another developer, you bring your A game. You don't want to make mistakes. You want to look really cool. You want to be your best. That's pair pressure. It's the first synergy, and it's something you need to aspire to. Pair negotiation is the second synergy. When you're pairing with when you're pairing on your own and you want to take a shortcut, you take that shortcut. When you're pairing with another developer and you want to take a shortcut, you go, "Hey buddy, can I take this shortcut?" And you go, "No, we're going to do it the right way." That's pair negotiation. Next up, we have pair reviews and courage. Is this your homework, Larry? Pair reviews are, most of us are familiar with the idea of code reviews. Pairing is a form of continuous code review. And pair courage, this is the cool thing. When you're coding and you have this method that you're not sure if you should be using this one or that one, and you have this awesome developer sitting right next to you, and you go, "Dude, should I use B or A? I think B." And he goes, "Yeah, it's B." Then you know it's B, and you're comfortable. You know that you wrote the best code you can write. And then we have the last three, which are pair debugging, pair learning, and pair trust. Each one of us does problem solving in a completely different way. We approach problems differently. And if you're sitting next to another developer who radically looks at a problem differently than you are, you get to the actual problem a lot faster. It's a really cool synergy. Pair learning. This is the thing you need to tell management to get them to do pair programming. It reduces buzz factor. You share knowledge with your team actively. You don't have someone coming to you and saying, "Dude, I need to know how to do this thing. How do I do that?" You actually sit right next to them and you just do it, and they go, "Oh, I've been doing it wrong all along." And pair trust. I am a lot more comfortable when two developers work on a piece of work than when one does. I know that when two developers that I trust on my team work together, I get the best possible output. I don't have to code review that. They did it. And that's an awesome feeling. Knowing that the code in your code base is the best that it could possibly be is an amazing feeling. Good pair programmers all share similar habits. There aren't many, and it's really simple habits. Good pair programmers take breaks. Good pair programmers practice humility. Good pair programmers are confident and receptive, and they communicate and listen like vanilla ice. So we spoke about taking breaks. Practicing humility is really hard, something I suck at, but I'm getting better. You need to trust your partner. You need to listen to what they're saying, not just hear, you need to listen. You need to be confident and receptive. You need to be able to tell your partner, you're doing it wrong, we need to do it this way. And you need to be able to accept that you're wrong, and you need to be able to accept your partner. And then you need to be like vanilla ice. You need to communicate, you need to talk as much as possible, you need to listen. There's a lot of listening happening there. Right, so when it comes to pair programming, there's a simple flow. It starts with establishing communication. Sit down. Discuss the constraints of the problem you're working on. Pick a key phrase like, can I drive? Do you mind if I take over? Don't just take over. Set up the environment before you start pairing. Don't just go into it. You need to fall into it gracefully. Speak about it. Communicate first. You need to be comfortable. Again, be comfortable when you pair. And you need to agree on your tools. If you don't like Vim and you're working on Vim, you're not comfortable. If you like Vim and you're working on Vim, you're comfortable, but your partner might not necessarily be. If you want to learn to use Vim, though, then you are comfortable. So don't force people to use tools, but also try and teach them, and then profit. Once you have these three things set up, you're going to be fine. You're going to figure out the rest, because we're smart, we're developers. We know how to do these things. When it comes to remote communication, you all suck. Don't use this thing in your notebooks. I hate it. This little microphone, I never can hear what people are saying to me. These two things, though, are really cool. They all both go for under $99. The Logitech H930 goes for 300 Rand. The Blue Snowball is a bit more expensive. It goes for 1,000 Rand. The Logitech H930 is used by Frank Rietta. It's used by Joe Moore. It's used by a bunch of guys at Pivotal. It's a really cool headset, and it works over USB. So you get a sound card, which makes your sound better. Who'd have thought we can make it better? And then the Blue Snowball is really an amazing piece of kit. It's also got a sound card built into it. It works over USB, and if I put it down there, we're going to be able to hear people in the corner talk. We want that. If you're conferencing, if you've got a lot of developers around the table, get the Blue Snowball. It's known as the Death Star, and it's awesome. I love it. So this is the part of the talk you're all probably here for, tools. It's important to remember you can't fix a team of tools with tools. So even though you want to hear this part of the talk, the first part was the important one. So when it comes to video and audio, everyone knows Skype. It should be your last resort. Skype's fine. Everyone has it installed already. But if you have an open-minded pair, tell them to please, for the love of God, use Hangouts. Google Hangouts is awesome, and it's getting better every single day. It's got crisp audio, and it's an awesome video. Try use Google Hangouts. And a lot of people forget that you have these things called iPads and iPhones. It's got FaceTime on it. FaceTime is a good alternative. And the big benefit you get from that is your phone or your tablet is usually on a separate connection to the one you're pairing or screen sharing or text sharing or whatevering on. So you don't have that extreme latency. Remember, you have phones. Put your video connection through that if you can. And then we have Screen Hero. Don't they have an awesome logo? Little dog. Screen Hero is not that good yet. It's getting better every day, though. And I have a lot of hope for Screen Hero, and we're going to get back to it in a bit. There are a few core ways to share your code. This is what we really want to do. We want to share code with someone else, and we want to work on it. So you can share via text, you can share over the cloud, or what I like to call the web platform. You can screen share, or you can share with IDEs. So when it comes to text sharing, there's this thing called tmux, and it has a really scary name. It's a terminal multiplexer. What it does is it creates processes that you can attach and detach to with a client, and you look at a terminal. So what you do, and this is going to be a really quick run through, you create a tmux server on your machine, you connect to it with your client, and you get someone else to SSH into your machine, create a client, and then you share the same terminal session. You can see editing happening. We're all smart, we can all go Google tmux. But don't do it this way. I need to stop doing that. Do it this way. Try and get a remote server, because this SSH thing, it's hard. You need to set up weird things on your router, and you need to talk to scary DevOps guys. Please try get like a remote server that you have a tmux host on, and SSH into that. It's going to make your life simpler, and it's going to make the person partnering with you simpler as well. There's a new tool called Flubits, making the roundabouts. I really like Flubits. It's not exactly there yet. It's getting substantially better. And what Flubits allows you to do is work from terminal programs like Vim or Emacs and connect to Sublime. It's relatively simple to use. We can all go Google Flubits. I spoke about SSH being really, really hard. There are two libraries out there called GitHub Auth and ls-pair that make SSH simpler. GitHub Auth allows you to go GitHub Auth - GitHub username, and it takes their public SSH key, creates a user on your machine, adds their SSH keys everywhere it needs to be added, and it's really easy to add and remove and turn off and on and go crazy. GitHub Auth. Go have a look at it. I use it extensively. And ls-pair as well. It's got a default configuration for Vim and Emacs and Sublime when you're pairing, and it's also got SSH settings, little Ruby scripts to do the adding of users and going crazy if they don't have GitHub accounts. And then honorable mentions for text-based things are Sublime Collab. I haven't gotten it to work yet. I've seen people work with it before. It looks pretty cool. And then SubEthaEdit. It's a pay-for collaborative editor, and it's worth looking at. It uses Bonjour to share, so it's very, very low bandwidth. If you're having bandwidth problems, have a look at SubEthaEdit. Next up, we have web platform editors. So what you need to realize, in some way or form, it's going to be built on this thing called ACE. ACE is a cloud editor. It's open source, it's free, you can download it, and you can host it on your own servers. You can set up your own remote pairing environment. ACE. Some things built on top of ACE are Cloud9 coding and CodeEnvy. I'd suggest looking at Cloud9. You log in, you create a virtual environment, and you share a URL, and you're off. It's really easy, it's really quick. Coding is still a new kid on the block. They're getting better every day. CodeEnvy is a lightweight version of Cloud9, but I suggest Cloud9. My favorite web platform editor, though, is Mad-Eye. Also built on top of ACE, but this thing is so cool. You install it on your machine, and you cd into a directory, and you go Mad-Eye, enter. And it gives you this URL that you can share with people. And it opens up in a Google Hangout, and you've got your directory, and you've got a code editor, and it just works. It just works awesomely. Use Mad-Eye. I love Mad-Eye. Use Mad-Eye. Use Mad-Eye. Screen sharing. Don't use Skype. Remember I said share equally? Don't use Skype. Skype is read-only, and you have to pay for screen sharing now. Douchecopters. If you're using a Mac, you already have VNC on it. You just don't know it. VNC is super fast. VNC works on all the platforms, and VNC is another thing that you can go Google. Screen Hero. Screen Hero is a next generation screen sharing app. It uses WebSockets and the web platform to do many things, but it integrates audio and video. It has a whiteboard. It has a bunch of things. Screen Hero is not there yet. It needs a lot, but it's getting there, and it's getting there every day. There are improvements. One interesting thing that very few people know is when you're screen sharing, the thing that makes it slow is not your download, it's your upload. We have ADSL. If you have a 10 meg download line, that means nothing. You only have like 1 meg or 384 upload. That's where the blocker is. You can host VNC on a remote server and then screen share into that remote server. That's going to make your life better. Look at it, try doing it. There is a cool thing called No Machine that does this for you. No Machine is really, really, really cool. It allows you to host screen sharing apps remotely, and you can have separate windows coming to your desktop. So you can have a OS X server and open up Sublime in that, and just have that one window shared to your desktop while sharing it with other people. I could do a whole talk about No Machine, and I'm not going to. It's another thing to Google. And then a lot of people forget about IDEs. When was the last time you saw the Eclipse logo? You're all bad. Eclipse and Soros are the best tools you can use if you're on a low bandwidth connection. Soros does audio as well. It has a whiteboarding tool in it. It does so much, and it does it on the slowest connection you can imagine. And it's been built from 19 FTSAC. It's really good. And if you're on Windows, get Visual Studio Express, install it, and use VS Anywhere, and be happy for the rest of your life. It works. VS Anywhere. If you're on Windows, just use that. You'll be fine for the rest of your life. The VNC thing on Mac, wait, there it is under System Library Core Services. It's hidden there. If you want to go find out about it, it's there. And what you can do is when you connect to a server, you just say VNC / IP, and it connects to it. It's crazy. You have to turn it on first, though. You can all Google. Okay, last thing. There is a Twitter hashtag called #PairWithMe. If you want to pair with someone remotely, globally, wherever, update your Twitter status. I'm hacking on X, say Backbone, #PairWithMe. You'd be surprised how many people want to pair with you. And you'd be surprised who you can pair with. If you've got a programming idol, tweet them. #PairWithMe. You're awesome. I'm working on Backbone. Help. There is also a really cool site called pairprogramwith.me. Most of the tools I spoke about, there are articles on there, and go look at it. It's really, really cool site. Questions? Anyone? Aslam. I'm not that old. I have no idea what the running man dance looks like. I wasn't even born yet when that song came out. Anyone else? Questions? Okay, so the question was that if you do #PairWithMe, is there a default set of tools? The majority of people resort to the LS-Pair toolchain that I listed previously. It has default settings for Sublime and Emacs and Vim and your terminal and Tmux. Most people resort to that though, but the majority of good remote pair programmers are going to send you a setup email beforehand saying, I use these tools, you can SSH into this machine, you can VPN into this machine, go crazy. Other questions? Anyone?
So one of my biggest pet peeves when pair programming is when you have one developer who's really experienced and another one that's either new in the technology or just new in general with pair programming or something in between. Because you can end up getting into the anti-pattern of go make a cup of tea.
Okay.
You've heard of that before. Where basically one developer is sitting there watching and the other guy's just logging and driving. How do you manage that or deal with that?
Okay, so the question you asked is when you have a novice and an expert pair, what do you do to help stop the expert pair taking over or taking excessive breaks? Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a really good book called Pair Programming Illuminated. If you're a Scrum Master or if you're a developer wanting to learn more about it, go read Pair Programming Illuminated. And the expert-novice pair is actually not the problem. That usually works really well. It's kind of a mix between an extrovert-introvert and an expert-novice. So you have, well, you have code cowboy, normal developer is the actual anti-pattern. And the way to fix that is to talk. It's about communication. If you are that developer being crushed, you need to talk up. If you can't talk up and you work in an agile environment, like I mentioned, we have awesome people to facilitate these conversations for us. You need to be able to go talk to your Scrum Master or whatever it is in your team and tell them, I have a problem communicating, help. That it's about communication. If you can't talk, if you can't follow the core rules, if you can't follow the synergies and you can't follow the habits, then you should probably not be pair programming. If you go into a pair programming session and you want to take over, you want to be in control, then you shouldn't be pair programming because you're not getting any value from it. And that's very opinionated, but that's how I feel. Any other questions? Karen?
Are there people who shouldn't pair?
Yes, there are people who shouldn't pair. No, Scrum Master should pair. Everyone who wants to pair should pair. But if you don't want to pair, then you are breaking your partner. You are destroying pair programming for them. And you are a bad, bad person. If you don't want to pair, don't. Don't feel forced. If you want to be better, if you want to become a better pair programmer, then do pair. But if you want to pair program just because everyone else does it, don't. You need to be motivated. You need to want to communicate, and you need to go to the core pairing habits. Time. Okay.
como Electro por la vida.